What's up, guys? It's a little messy here in the car, so you got to kind of forgive that this morning. But not a real particular subject to talk about today. Just wanted to kind of hang out and shoot the breeze. If anybody ends up having anything they'd like to talk about, as you can imagine, my wife is at work right now, so I'm more than happy to answer questions about fragrances today, as per usual. But I think more or less, I just kind of wanted to live stream, hang out with you guys a little bit, see if there's anything anybody wanted to just talk about. I will admit that I am not feeling my best today, so this is not like a boo-hoo, feel sorry for me type of thing. This is just like I'm not in the best of spirits. Got a lot on my mind. So since again my wife's at work and I had the free time, I figured I'd hang out with you guys and just kind of shoot the breeze. So again, if you know my channel, this is a fragrance channel, and as usual, even though I'm not in front of my fragrances, if anybody would like to ask fragrance questions, you're free to do so. I don't really expect much viewership here or what have you, but just wanted to hang out and talk and see if any of my buddies got the chance to come through this morning and just kind of hang out and shoot the breeze. But as usual, like I said, any questions, you guys are more than welcome to ask. It's never easy doing these streams if I'm not in front of my fragrance collection, because a lot of people then don't really know that's what I normally do. But as a whole, my name's Andrew, but this is my channel, the Douglas Moon Fragrance Channel. I've been working on starting a second channel that has to do with my beliefs in particular. But some things in life, especially with the comment, like my grandma is still with us. She's in the process of hospice, for anybody who's new to the channel or what have you. If you are new, you're probably thinking, why should I care about a stranger talking to his camera? Again, I'm a fragrance YouTuber. I have a nice community of people that typically come through the lives and we hang out and talk. But I got some time this morning. Wife's at work. I'm about to do my studies here in a little bit. But yeah, I just felt like I'd talk to you guys in case any of my friends are able to stop through and shoot the breeze. I personally have not been feeling very great lately. Been struggling with some stuff. As far as where to go directionally with my beliefs, necessarily speaking, not something that a single person could ever like help me with or answer. But yeah, so a lot on the mind, but I've been enjoying doing these live streams and hanging out with you guys and talking. So please, by all means, if anybody would like to come through, hang out while I got the time to do so, shoot me some questions. Let's chill, let's talk. It's kind of fun hanging out with strangers and talking when you get the opportunity to do so. So again, I'm Andrew, aka this is the Douglas Moon Fragrance Channel, but this particular stream is not necessarily so much about fragrances. But been trying a lot of different stuff on this bad boy and realizing that at the end of the day, kind of sort of, if I really want this channel to grow in the direction, what's the topic? Charles, thank you for stopping through. In and of itself, there's not necessarily a full-blown topic. It's more or less, like I said, I'm a fragrance channel, but I'm kind of welcoming anybody just to hang out, shoot the breeze, and talk. Tell me if you got anything in particular on your mind, because sometimes it's nice to talk with strangers. I've experienced. And those are some pretty interesting, you got you some animals there. Pretty cool. Thanks for stopping through and leaving a comment. But yeah, sometimes it's pretty decent. Like I myself, like I said, to anybody who's a part of it, thank you for coming through. To anybody who's usual to my channel, again, it's a fragrance review channel, but I also do these streams and we don't just talk about fragrances. We also just kind of hang out and talk about life, play some music. I would do that. If you're talking about like play some music through the speakers, I would do that. But technically speaking, you get copyright strikes for that kind of stuff. On my old channel with my wife, we used to do family vlogs and stuff, just recording for like our personal memories and junk. And I had like a bunch of videos from our us and the kids doing our Halloween parties get copyright strikes, and I did not know that was even a thing at that time. So yeah, I definitely can't play no music. But yeah, in and of itself, even though I'm not in front of my fragrance collection today, if anybody does pop through and wants to generally just ask fragrance questions while we chill, you're more than welcome to do so. That's I guess you could say my profession here on my YouTube. But I also, just like I said, been going through a lot of life stuff. So sing for us, I would do that, but I'm not going to. I would like it. Technically, you know what would be cool? I heard that during these live streams, or at least I see a thing where I can add other people to the live. I actually thought about before, probably not just somebody I don't know very well, but if I do one of these lives and somebody that I'm actually like buddies with or who are usual to the channel, I'd like to add them and maybe sometime do like a split screen thing and just kind of hang out and chill and shoot the breeze. But tell me this, Charles, what kind of music do you like to listen to? Also, anybody who's watching, I mean, probably some people are going to troll answer this, and that's fine, but what kind of music do you think that I probably listen to just by looking at me. And it could be anything. So I don't really mind what you guys suggest. And no, it's not like the Teletubbies soundtrack. Jester, what's up? Hey, thank you for coming here. How close is Liquid Brune to Altair? To be real with you, Liquid Brune is like Altair in the sense that it's nearly a one-to-one in essence, but one thing that's a little different is Hodlodge's Vanilla Dunes, the top most popular dupes of Altair. Hodlodge Vanilla Dunes is a bit better in the comparison as a one-to-one because of a mild floral vanilla pod note going on with a musk, whereas Liquid Brune is just like excessively densely sweet. So classical. Charles, I got my motorcycle's license yesterday. Heck yeah, buddy, that's awesome. Congratulations. Are you famous? I don't think so. No. My channel's got moderately okay subscriber amounts and stuff, but my algorithm's been crap lately, but it is what it is. So I'm definitely not famous or nothing. Classical music though. I do like some classical. I definitely also like a lot of like traditional jazz music, stuff like that. Rock, definitely like rock music, but a lot of people are always under the impression that I probably like deathcore and stuff like that. It's okay. It's not really my style. I definitely like more like 80s pop and things along those lines. With my bright blue, baby blue shorts here, it's probably not that hard to guess. But yeah, like I said, country fan. Actually, yes, I am very much a country fan. So being from the American South, I didn't grow up liking country, although I was surrounded by country music. But I will say I ended up becoming excessively into country music in the past like 10 years. As I got older, I learned to appreciate it. I was really into like punk and like metalcore and stuff like that for a long time, as you can probably guess. Like that was a part of my younger years and when I was doing music myself and in bands and junk. But these days, I really love me some country. I like the classics and stuff like the George Strait, people like that. Honestly, I've even enjoyed a little Conway Twitty, to be real with you. And Travis Tritt, people like that. But I like a lot more modern stuff too. If you guys know who, oh my gosh, what's his name? I cannot believe it. We've just been listening to him like crazy, but there's a new dude who sounds like Alan Jackson, and he's absolutely fantastic. Listen to Meow. They're a new heavy metal jazz band. Oh, thank you, Nigel, for suggesting that. I'll definitely check that out. We all end up liking country as adults. I think so. I've got buddies from like different countries and stuff, like not to be funny, like other actual countries who are very into country music. So it's really nice to listen to. It's very, some things are a little overplayed, but definitely just fun to kind of relax to and chill. Lamal Elixir longevity is crazy. I'm still smelling it 24 hours later. It really is. Lamal Elixir blows my mind on a regular basis because of the simple fact that it is a designer fragrance that was designed excessively dense. So the original Lamal, there's a new reformulation of the original Lamal Eau de Toilette. It even actually has, like it always did, but it even has pretty decent performance for what it's worth. Very few Eau de Toilettes have like the kind of performance that I'm looking for. But the original Eau de Toilette of Lamal and then Sauvage Eau de Toilette, stuff like that's really, really nice. So again, I know for anybody popping through, this is a little all over the place. It's just how this channel typically goes. We have fun. We hang out and talk whenever we get the chance. So if you guys aren't very busy, please feel free to stop by, ask some questions. I'm more than happy to answer anything you'd like to know, if there's anything you would like to know. Or then again, like I said, if you guys got anything on your mind, if you're going through something, I'd love to talk with you. Sometimes, like I said, it's nice to talk with strangers. That's why I'm doing this right now, just hanging out. Been going through some stuff lately, like with the family and everything. So doing these live streams and chilling and just kind of taking my mind off of it's been really fun hanging out with you guys. But yeah, again, I'm a fragrance channel. It's what I do. But thank you for suggesting that Meow band. Or is that Meow? I actually can't tell right now just by looking at it because don't have the best vision in the entire world if you can't tell. That's why I got these big bionicles on. But I like me some heavy metal jazz. That sounds like a lot of fun. But yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys' favorite music is, favorite fragrances. Honestly, you can tell me your favorite anything, favorite colors, favorite food. I don't really care. But yeah. But in the meantime, I'm going to take me a sip of this delicious ginger sparkling water. But basically, as I've got a little time here, about 10 o'clock, I've got a Bible study doohickey that I'm going to be doing every chance I get to, especially on my days off. That's kind of one of the main things that I end up doing with my spare time. I've been studying historical beliefs, Christianities, and early church history and stuff for quite some time now. So that's pretty much a big part of my life. And I don't talk about it a lot during a lot of my streams because I know it's not exactly something popular. And I also know that kind of leads to a lot of debates. The other day during one of my live streams, I brought up my personal beliefs while making it very clear that I respect and welcome people of all over walks of life and beliefs. And there was a handful of people who started wanting to come in and either like mocking me for believing in God, or on the other end of things, like questioning what I think about like political stuff or what have you. And I was like, not really want to talk too much about those particular things because that can go all over the place and people kind of take you out of context and everything. But again, I'd like to develop. I don't know what that says right there, but hello, thank you for popping through. Really appreciate you coming around. Please, again, like I keep saying, anybody who's new here or popping through, please feel free to ask questions about whatever you would like to. Elena, hello, good morning. Thank you for coming in. Yeah, so again, sorry for anybody who's sticking around, but I have to be, when you do these live streams, you kind of got to be a wee bit repetitive because new people pop in and you just want to be welcoming if you can do so. That's my usual goal during live streams, whether I'm in front of my fragrances and we're doing just strictly fragrance content or not. I like to try to make sure I get to everybody's questions as much as possible. So I've never even really watched live streams myself before, so it's neat that you guys like to come through and do this the way that you do. But yeah, by all means, please feel free. Come through, get comfortable. If you got some free time, ask me about fragrances, ask me about whatever you'd like to. Again, this is not going to be the most entertaining one that I've ever done, but I got some free time, so I figured I'd hang out. It all depends on what you know. What you know about what? Toby Utooth, thank you for coming through and commenting. I appreciate you popping in. But yes, it all depends on what you know. I guess that could you clarify a little bit about particularly, are you speaking about a particular subject that I brought up, like religion or something along those lines, or fragrances or whatever? But yeah, love to hear your thoughts. I'm about to turn this on real quick. Hopefully this doesn't get loud, but it does get a little hot. I live in the American South. Jester, I just bought Sauvage Elixir. It smells great. Yeah, it does. Sauvage Elixir is actually a really nice fragrance. It's one of those ones where, like I said, a lot of people try to push it off these days and say that's a little bit on the overrated side, but it really isn't. It's powerful. It's one of the most strongest fragrances that I've ever encountered. I was going to just yesterday. People were asking me about aromatics as fragrances, like the Xandal or however you say it. And I was going to get them, but I ended up changing my mind because I kind of thought about it. And I was like, wow, there's a lot of overly like vanilla fragrances going on at this point in the fragrance community. And that's not really what I want. I want more rose. I want more things with like an iris feature. Bergamont's been such a popular top note for so long in fragrances. And I'd like to see more things in the dupe community focus more on that, because it seems like a lot of these companies, by the way, anybody popping through it, bye, see you later. Thanks, Toby, for stopping through. Appreciate it. But again, I am solely a fragrance channel, but I'm willing to answer questions or just shoot the breeze this morning, just casually about whatever. But to anybody who asks fragrance questions, even though we're not in front of my collection today, so it might take me a minute to remember some of my answers that I'd like to give you guys. In particular, I will say that it's interesting to me when I think about dupes and clones right now, because it seems like Latafa and so many other brands are pigeonholing themselves into gourmands, cinnamon fragrances, vanilla strong fragrances, and spices and stuff like that, and not really branching out as much. I will give credit where it's due to French Avenue for actually giving a shot to make something like Vulcan Few, because in reality, they at least tried to do something more ginger and mango, something more citrus and fruit, because it's just not something I'm seeing a whole lot of. I love dark fragrances, Sauvage Elixir, Carlisle, Ombre Leather, Monkey Special. I do too. I like stuff like that. I like Black Phantom. It's a really good fragrance, Black Phantom by Killian. Because like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of Angel Share, but when you go to like Apple Brandy, and then Old Fashioned was actually a really nice one. I tried that for the first time yesterday. Old Fashioned by Killian's a really good fragrance, but Monkey Special is nice. Ombre Leather is definitely one of my absolute favorites. Just yesterday, I almost bought the Eau de Parfum edition because, as you know, I have the Parfum bottle, but I actually was thinking, the original Eau de Parfum has a little more brightness to it, whereas the Parfum edition of Ombre Leather by Tom Ford is a lot more rich on the sandalwood. So I was giving heavy consideration to that. But yeah, Sauvage Elixir, Carlisle, these are all fantastic choices. Who do you think is better, MJ or LeBron? To be honest with you, I don't really know a lot about basketball. I'm not going to pretend that I do, but I guess if I really had to choose, I grew up with my brother. He's like 12 years older than me. He was very crazy about Michael Jordan, so probably going to go with Michael Jordan. If we're talking about Michael Jackson, of course, he's better than both of them, but I know that's not who we're talking about. Hey, what's up, Sarah? And thank you for popping through. I need a good summer fragrance that's not aquatic. All right, Dylan, thank you for popping in. So if you want a good summer fragrance that's not aquatic, I'm going to most likely have to steer you towards well, a good one to start with is Le Beau Le Parfum, not the Paradise Garden edition. Jean-Paul Gaultier's Le Beau Le Parfum isn't really aquatic. It's definitely geared towards the Paradise Garden edition is aquatic, but the Le Parfum edition is just mostly bright, like what is it, pina colada? So it's very dense on the sweet coconut feel with a woodsy creaminess underneath it. Whereas if you was to go with Eros Energy or Club de Nuit Intense Parfum, man, that one's a pretty good choice for a summer fragrance. Something along those lines are going to do you pretty well. Let me see. I want to move to the USA. Where do you live right now, Alina? But yeah, happy Friday, buddy. Thank you for coming through here. I appreciate you guys so much. As always, even though I'm not in front of my fragrances, I am a fragrance YouTuber. So if you're new here popping in, you're more than welcome to ask questions. To my buddies you're welcome, Dylan. Thank you for being here, buddy. And good afternoon, Mohammed. Thank you so much for, you're having a sunny day over there in London. That's awesome. Have you tried Molecule 01 for layering in a cologne? I haven't tried Molecule 01. I've had a handful of people ask me about that, and I haven't actually had the chance to try that yet. Like I said, on my list right now for future purposes is Argos fragrances. I want to collect a handful of Mind Games, although I'm not going to get any of the actual bottles. I'm going to get the Discovery set. That's probably what I'm going to go with. Elena, you're in France. Oh, what time is it there right now? Are you originally from France? Would be a good question I would ask. One of my best buddies, family's from Tunisia, but he grew up in Paris. And he actually really likes being here in America, but there's a lot of things he misses about France himself. I heard you mention a fragrance that was for a working man or a mechanic. Anything come to mind for a farmer? So definitely, first of all, Sarkan, are you a farmer? If so, that's really awesome. And real quick, I'm going to answer your question. Just as a reminder to anybody new popping through, again, my name is Douglas Moon. It's a fragrance channel. I review fragrances. You're welcome to talk about anything you'd like. Ask me any questions you'd like while I'm streaming when I do this, but I definitely mostly answer fragrance questions to start with. So please feel free. Don't be shy. With that being said, I farm citrus and I have, oh, wow. That's really cool. My dude is like, absolutely, Astro. What's going on, buddy? Good morning. Just hanging out in the car again, chilling. It's 3:12 p.m. Heck yes, you got the nice afternoon going on. You're also from France. Yes, you do. France is very, very famous for perfumery in the past few hundred years. Definitely, definitely. Some of the biggest houses in the world come from France for sure, especially specifically in the Paris region. Naturally, that's where the fashion is. But let me make sure. So what I was saying before is that something like in the Prada line, literally just yesterday, I tried the new Prada Ocean Parfum, and I actually liked that one way more than the original Prada Ocean. But my wife, once again, just like me, was like, this is a working man's kind of fragrance, and definitely somebody who works with their hands and stuff. Not that anybody can't love it, but something about the note profiles felt very much like something that just a dude who's working hard and doing something like a mechanic or something. So as a farmer, though, a farmer almost, like my mind immediately, I'm not a farmer. I grew up in around agriculture. I even did agricultural studies in school. But I will say I'm not a farmer. So, but for my mind, I go to green fragrances for some strange reason. Not for a strange reason, but my mind goes, if you're a farmer, to got green fragrances. But I would say that doesn't really work out too well because most of them have a bright, like leafy citrus to them. But honestly, maybe something like Greenlee would be nice. But I think of also rich, like musks and also almost oily type of fragrances. So this is very expensive. I wouldn't recommend this, but if it wasn't so expensive, I would tell you like Black Lacquer by Tom Ford might almost be a neat fragrance to wear as a farmer. I like men's perfume. Do you think of Tom Ford Fabulous as a good summer fragrance? I do think so. Hold on real quick. Let me make sure I'm keeping up with you guys real fast. I'm not originally from here. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, Alina. But do you like living in France at all? And what region are you from, if I may ask? What about Saudi Arabia? They have awesome, Old Man Winter. They do have awesome fragrances. So, as well as just like United Arab Emirates, a lot of dupes and cheapies and stuff like that. Again, I don't mean it in like an offensive, like only dupes and cheapies come from the Middle East, but it is common that when you get clones and stuff like that, or cheaper fragrance profiles, other than stuff like Amouage, it does come from the Middle East. But I think that Saudi Arabia as well, from what I know, has some good fragrance to be put out. And they're a lot more concentrated oils as well that you'll typically get from something. They stay longer and smell strong, like men's perfumes. Yeah. So to Dash, as far as Fabulous by Tom Ford goes, I actually think it's specifically, especially even the new Parfum edition as well, specifically a good summer fragrance. As well, I like Stole Blanc, and then I'm starting to appreciate Neroli Portofino. On the other hand, it's like an extremely expensive fragrance for something that, smells a little on the basic side, but it's mostly because that Neroli as it is. What's your favorite men's fragrances? Yes, love beachy smell. Heck yeah. Do you like the beach smell, the sand, the salty ocean, sunscreen all over the place? So actually, that you say that, one of the most nostalgic smells for me personally is definitely that sunscreen type of fragrance profile, because growing up, one of my very first real memories is we live about 2 hours away from the beach. So even before I was 1 year old, one of the little videos of me when I was a kid is being at the ocean and being like in love with the beach and the sand. So that smell of like sea air, that's why I love 40 Knots by Xerjoff so much, is because that mild bit of like a chlorine sea salt feel really brings me joy. On the other hand, though, it's interesting because, like I said, French Riviera by Mancera, I'm not a huge fan of because of that very factor that it's almost like a sunscreeny fragrance, but it features just too much of a bit of a Febreze type of vibe for me, and it really puts me off. But sorry, I can't see without my glasses on very well. So let me give me just a second. I'm always touching them and getting them smudgy. I don't think I'll wear perfume. I'll just wear some sunscreen. Nothing wrong with that. Just put you some sunscreen on and you'll be doing good to go. But I do love me a good beach. So as far as my favorite men's fragrances, Le Male Parfum by Jean-Paul Gaultier, as well, the Elixir. I also very much love, again, Nexus by Xerjoff, Oud Silk Mood, the Extrait de Parfum by Maison Francis Kirkjohn, Grand Soir, Tom Ford's Ombre Leather Parfum. I love Versace Eros Parfum. And of course, most of the time, I say the Parfum edition for most fragrances because that's kind of just how I lean. But black lacquer is very expensive. But I will say, like I said, just in my mind, when I think of like a farmer or something dirty, grimy, oily, but not stinky or anything like that. So I know dirty and grimy sounds bad, but like you get what I meant if you could smell it, because it has like an oil note to it. Not an oil note, but like an ink blot type of feel to it. And it's just something I think if you as a farmer, it would be really good. When did I become Christian? So technically you could say, for me personally, I would probably say about 8 years ago. But it's not like it's been like a thing that hasn't been a journey. So your tattoos, thank you. I'm sorry, I can't see from here. Anurag, hopefully I said your name properly. If not, sorry, I mean absolutely no disrespect. Have you got any Latafa Hamra frags? I sure do. I have all of them. I've got all of the ones. So Kawa is my personal favorite one out of the entire bunch. Yuvraj, good morning. Thank you for being here, buddy. So Kawa is my favorite of the entire Hamra bunch. But in order, Kawa, the original, and then the new Dukan. The reason is, and I keep telling people this, the Dukan is basically just like a cash grab from Latafa, because not that, if Latafa ever like wants to send me free stuff, hey guys, if somebody from Latafa sees me, I'm more than happy to take things and try them out. But I can assure you, they'll never sponsor me like they do most creators, because I'm like very much not going to lie for them or like boost stuff if it ain't good. Now, Latafa makes good fragrances, but they also do some crap sometimes. It's just like, this is not worth the money. And for sure, the new Dukan by Hamra is like a big waste, because it smells the exact same immediately after the initial goes away or the dry down. It smells the exact same as the original. It just has a pimento initial that's different than the first. So just throwing it out there. Both tattoo on eyebrow. Thank you. I appreciate that. It means a lot to me. I honest to goodness, as stupid as this is going to sound, I almost forget all the time that I even got the tattoos. I've had them for so long. Until people make comments like, even here in the American South, still to this day in 2025, it's no boohoo for me. I don't really care. But to this day, when I walk around sometimes in public, there's been a few instances even in the past week where somebody, I'll just notice somebody pulling their kid closer to them when I walk by because of how I look. Because some people just, you always assume that you look like a criminal. Some of my closest friends at my job are from El Salvador, and they're always telling me about how, like, if I was down there, I'd be like pigeonholed a lot and stuff like that just because of how I look. Good morning. It's 6:48 p.m. here. Heck yeah. So you're getting close to night time, ain't you, buddy? Would you still recommend picking up the original Hamra OG? All eyes on the legs. Yeah, I got my legs nice and safe today. I'm sitting down in a chair chilling. But I would say that since you've got Hamra Kawa, probably don't need to pick up the original Latafa Hamra. But that's just because in and of itself, if you have the Kawa version, you've got what I personally think of as the best of them all. But again, it's up to you. The price range is not that bad. So if you feel like you'd like to have both, That's totally fine. And by the way, to my buddy earlier who asked when I originally first became Christian, if you want to know anything more about that, you're more than welcome to do so. Like I said, I'm not here to debate religion and stuff with people ever, because that's not my style. And I don't mind at all also, because again, this isn't a stream where I'm hoping to get a lot of views or nothing. I just want to hang out with you guys. So if anybody has any like personal life questions or want to hear me talk a little bit about my own story and maybe learn more about you guys, I'm fine with doing that. Bro, can you dance in your car? Just a little bit, like not a whole lot, especially because this is going to sound strange, but like literally behind me, this dude in like super skin tight little shorty shorts riding his bicycle. He's wearing bicyclers outfits or whatever, just pulled up and was looking at the car. And I feel like even though he's the one who's wearing his little skimpy outfit, if he sees me dancing in my car, he's going to be like, I'm the crazy person. Give us the story. Hold on real quick. What place do you shop for fragrances, or do you get them mostly online? So me personally, by the way, I'll do a little bit more dance for you, Yuvraj. But I would say for the most part, I shopped either on fragrancenet.com or a few times Max Aroma, but fragrancenet.com mostly, and then next to as well Sephora and Macy's. Those are the two main places that I shop for all my fragrances as I was building my initial collection that you guys have seen in my other streams. If anybody's stopping through here, again, you see I'm a fragrance YouTuber, but you're welcome to go check out my other stuff and see my actual collection and everything. So I'm not just a guy in a car. I have well over 100 and some fragrances, so I do this. You look above 6 feet while sitting in the car. Well, I appreciate that. I used to be 5'11", and then lo and behold, which by the way, yeah, I know when I stand in front of my fragrance shelves, it makes me look kind of short, but I'm not as tall as I'd like to be. Just letting that be known. I don't know where all you guys are from, what your national average is, but here I feel tall most of the time until I'm around other tall people. Then I feel like a little baby, but I'm 5'10" or 5'9" and a half now. So I used to be 5'11", and I'm only 32, but because I have back problems and I've got the what do you call it, scoliosis or whatever it is, I'm starting to kind of look like I'm shrinking basically. But I'm only asking because curious to test the smell before I spend that kind of money. Yeah, definitely. I personally would just tell you, just stick with the Kawa. That's a better choice overall. Just being honest with you. Thanks for the dance, babe. By the way, what are you drinking? I can see the pink tin can. If you're talking about this, I don't encourage people to drink energy drinks. I really don't. But this is I like to find ones that don't have taurine in it, whatever, not a big deal. But this is G Fuel, sponsored by Sheets or Edition. This is Blueberry Muffin. I'm gonna be real with y'all. It tasted like really, really good at first, but then after I kind of sat with it for a minute, I was like, it was a little too sweet and gross. In India, the average height is 5'6". Charles Ellis Red Bull. Red Bull is like, I love the taste of Red Bull. But Sarthak, by the way, thank you so much for popping through. So real quick, I guess to give you a mild amount, and again, anybody's more than welcome to pop in questions about whatever else. Where are you heading to? At the moment, I'm already where I'm going. So very often I like to go to the bookstore, Barnes & Noble, which is where if I got days off like I do right now, and I've had a lot of them recently for the family purposes and stuff. When I get the free time through my day, I like to definitely go and just kind of do some studies and some reading and everything. Got to have Monster Energy. We don't have G Fuel in UK. Shoot. Hey, look, Monster is like that definite for us, that high school energy drink type stuff. But to circle back, yeah, and in just a little bit, I'll probably maybe take some time to give a little bit more of like the actual story as far as beliefs are concerned. That's something that's definitely been weighing on me a lot recently, between the family things that's going on and so forth, and then thinking about this channel as well and my ability to like hang out with you guys and stuff. It's been more special to me to take the time to talk a little bit more about like where I like my own, beliefs that are meaningful to me, and as well get to know you guys even on a deeper level beyond the fragrance stuff. But yeah, Monster Energy, I always liked the white one that doesn't have the sugar in it. It's always been really nice. Is that tattoo above the left eyebrow? Yes, it is. So this is going to sound really dumb, but when I was much younger, so like I said, most of the tattoos I got was about 10 years ago. No, it's been longer than that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, for the most part, almost all of them I got about 11 years ago, 10 years ago, something along those lines. and even earlier than that. And it really was just me getting a bunch of free stuff. So people all the time when they see that I got tattoos think, oh, you must got money. No, I don't. I was very fortunate. I have friends and like they're not even that good, to be honest with you. They're decent, but I just wanted to have them at the time when I was younger. And that's why you always hear me encouraging people, please, if you're going to get tattoos, really think about what you're doing, because even if you want to do stuff like this, you'd be really shocked how often people like to come through and make fun and say that like I look like I'm from prison or some crap like that. So really think about what you're doing before you get tattoos. But yeah, definitely up here. Oh, hey, HSS, thank you for being here. Drink water, mittens. Yeah, I love drinking water. That's the thing I primarily stick with. I also like me a good old sparkling water. But bro, in your car, the driver's seat is in left or right side. So here in the United States, the driver's seat's on the left side. I've always wondered what it would be like to drive on the right. Our mail delivery people here for the postal service drive on the right. But half of them, when they do it, they're like reaching over it. And I'm thinking, how do they do that? KY, exercise is prayer. I would definitely say that it can be that way. Yes, for sure. Taking time to exercise can definitely be a good way. It's actually interesting you say that. So here's something that I'm not going to quote no scripture to you guys or anything like that, but here's an interesting thing that I think is probably shared amongst most beliefs. As I have read through the Quran, read through the Gita and stuff like that, I think this would be a concept that maybe if not explicitly direct would still be something that's important, and that is to take care of your body. So when you see me doing things like drinking energy drinks, definitely not upholding that, but I will say that at Australia the seat is on the right. Free tattoos over free fragrances. Yeah, but what I'm saying real quick, just so I don't lose this train of thought, because like I said, there's been so much going on outside of hanging out with you guys in these streams, which has been like super meaningful for me, made me feel really good just hanging out talking with y'all. Been a lot going on, but I haven't really broke all that stuff down for quite a while yet. Your thighs are shining. Yes, they are. I'm excessively white. But yeah, definitely getting as far as beliefs are concerned, taking care of your body. I've been realizing that's definitely a missing puzzle. There's a joke here in the United States that your average Baptist pastor is going to be overweight, and they can't wait to hurry up and get the service over so they can get to KFC. And to be real with you, that's kind of true. I grew up originally, my parents, when I was a kid, church wasn't a big part of our life, but growing up as a kid, every now and then we go to the church, and my parents, for whatever reason, here in the American South, it's the default that you're going to go to a Baptist church. If anybody Baptist denomination comes through here, I mean, absolutely no offense to you at all, much love to you, but in the American South, it's you can't go 10 feet without running into 30 Baptist churches. They're almost constantly competing with each other. And it's funny. And anywhere you see another church, like a Catholic church, pop up, it's a Baptist church has to be all right, we got to beat them. Same thing happens with auto stores here. You'll see an O'Reilly's auto shop pop up, and then Advanced AutoZone and whatever the other one was, they pop up right across from each other to compete. But yeah, most of those pastors end up being those really, really sweaty, their faces turn red, and they're pretty hefty boys for the Lord, jumping up there, yelling at you as loud as they can. And then afterwards, all right, y'all, let's go get us some fried chicken. So it was fun, but definitely adds to the belly. But not that anybody asked, but like I said, this is definitely one of those rambling days. Any restaurant you go to on Sunday after church is busy with those folks. It's not just pastors. No, you're right. Those barbecue places, fried chicken places, and good old soul food type places where after church on a Sunday, you're going to see people loaded up to the brims. Have you ever licked Cheeto dust off of someone's fingers? My own, yes. Not someone else's fingers, but definitely my own. Then again, to be honest with you, I'm a germ person. I freak out quite a bit over germs. They bother me. They always have. When I was a kid, actually, if any family members wanted to give me a kiss on a cheek, I used to freak out. But then again, it's probably because half of them were missing teeth and they were real slobbery, and I didn't like that. Bro, did you try the dish I told you, aloo paratha? I did not. I have not had the opportunity to do that just yet. So we did go to an Indian restaurant the other day, and it was fantastic, though. Got me some more tikka masala. I know that might not necessarily be it's a very generic choice, but it was fantastic. You mentioned family. Have you been married long? Any kids? Yes. So we've been together for roughly 6 years, but been married for a year and a half. Officially. And then as well, I've had 2 kids from before I was with my wife. So I started young. I don't regret it, but at the same time, it definitely wasn't the smartest choice. I highly recommend you guys take it easy and be very careful. But my son is going to be 15 this year. So I'm 32 and I'm about to have a 15-year-old. I started unnecessarily young, and then my little girl is going to be 12 this year. So yeah. I got me a family, that's for sure. And by the way, just throwing this out there, like I said, I appreciate you guys popping through just to hang out, because I really did not expect this to be like a very popular type of stream, and that's totally okay, because just chilling with you guys means a lot to me. On the other hand, I'm about to do something real quick. It's going to require me to turn the camera up. So you guys are more than welcome, though, to continue to ask questions. But when I have these days where we's out traveling and you get to be a little bit older fella like me, when you get into your 30s and your bladder gets a little weak every now and then, you have to do something. Sorry, ladies, anybody popping through here, not to be gross, but basically every now and then you got to go do a little wee in a bottle. And yes, I know that's like some teenage nasty stuff, but you got to do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like I said, please guys feel free. Actually, you know what? Since we got the free time, anybody who is hanging out, I probably will go ahead and tell you my little story here in just a second, because you never know. It might actually, I believe personally that your story, or in what I like to jokingly call here in the South, we call it Christianese, when you're speaking Christian talk. Your testimony is something that people bring up a lot. Like, what's your testimony? What's your story? And gotta go when you gotta go. You absolutely do, Muhammad. You gotta do what you gotta do. My first child just had her first birthday. Any advice for new parents? I would just say, I tell people this all the time. Like my sister-in-law, she just had her second baby in like they're only like a year and a half apart. And I tell people for sure, when it comes to having children, all those little how to be a parent books and self-help books is just a bunch of junk. It really it's just stuff to make you kind of think you know a little something. In reality, being a parent is complex in the sense that you got to figure out your own. Like I was telling my wife yesterday that there are objective concepts that turn into subjective action. So in every case, just loving your child the best you can, just being there for them, guiding them the best that you can into like letting them experience things on their own, while also being there if you need to catch them when they fall. And just like I said, being there for them pretty much, and trying to help teach them things like how to be healthy and take care of themselves spiritually, mentally, and stuff like that, and physically, and get them to get exercise, teach them to play outdoors. Just your very basic stuff is all you really need to do, and the rest will kind of figure itself out from there, and let them just express themselves and be who they are, and always be willing to be honest with them. Don't baby talk your kids as much as possible. Just talk to them like little grown-ups, and try to teach them complex things from a young age, just being direct with them. Don't talk to your children like they're dumb, is the best thing that I would probably say. But yeah, definitely stuff like that. Just don't read, if you're going to have a child, don't read the self-help books, because they're just a waste of time. They tell you a bunch of crap. It's just easier to just experience it and just be there, and you will bond with that child. As long as you are around, you will bond with your kid. So it's easy because it's your kid and you just got to connect to them, but it's also difficult because you have to just learn a lot of patience, is the best thing that I would say. Mine is 2.5. Just be there. Exactly, Mohammed. Just like I said, just be there for your kids as much as you can. And that's all that you really got to do. Buddy, you got to see your grandchildren. Congratulations. Absolutely. What's the story behind your tattoos? I'll answer that in just a second. That's how it's done. Don't regret anything so far. How did you manage to have a kid? I don't mind. I definitely don't mind answering that. So basically, like I said, part of my story, rewinding it back, is definitely that I used to be a little party animal. And when I used to just kind of really do extreme things for the sake of like having a good time. I don't know if you guys know what Viva La Bam was, or like Bam Margera, all that kind of stuff. I don't know if you guys ever watched that crap or heard of it when you were younger, but I really loved that stuff. It was really funny to me. Bam Margera is actually who originally inspired me, not anymore, but when I was a kid, he's who originally inspired me to even like make videos and like have fun with my friends. And that's what originally my life made me when I was very small. This was like 2005. So again, I was born in 1993. So seeing Viva La Bam and Bam Margera and stuff really inspired me, because I was like, wow, this dude just filming stuff and having fun with his friends, and he's kind of sort of making this a career. Like, obviously he was a professional skateboarder, but he was making a life and career out of filming and just having a good time. Like, honestly, stuff like what he did really inspired a lot of people getting into YouTube and things like that, and just making a life out of it. So back then I used to develop my humor a lot from just being wacky and wild and doing whatever. Well, I was dating a girl, and she was like, hey, what have you ever wondered what it would look like to have a child of your own? Like, do you think that would be cool? And I was like, I don't know. She was like, well, would you like to see? So that really stupid situation right there. This just goes to show you when I was young how not smart I was. Is that really simple question of a woman asking me, would you like to know what it would look like if you had a kid? Is why I have my son. And I've told him this, and we laugh about it. We crack jokes all the time about it. But that's basically how that happened. So that's why I have my first son. The stories behind my tattoos is basically this. So to start with, this anchor right here, pretty much, my cousin was getting a buy one, get one same size tattoo deal, like the tattoo shop we were at. I only back then had gauges. I had the big ear holes. And I sent you an email. Did you see? I did. I don't know if you saw, but I emailed you back. But thank you for that, by the way. It was really appreciated. But so basically, my cousin was getting he was getting a tattoo, and they said, by the way, this is a buy one get one same size type of thing. And for some strange reason, I would have never turned it down, but he was like, I don't want one. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. And I picked out an anchor because I really liked the ocean since I was a child. That's it. I got my first tattoo for free that day. As you can imagine, that started me wanting to get them for free forever after that. That's pretty much what happened. Is I got that one, and then going forwards, I was like, okay, this arm's going to mostly be stuff about the ocean, and I just kind of worked out that way, except for my little pizza here. It's a little slice of pizza, and it says home slice. But the majority of my tattoos was just literally like an artist having fun, giving me fun stuff and things about the ocean that I love. And over here, my grandpa and grandma who passed away, I got a cool thing for them, and that's mostly the gist of it. Also, Donnie Darko, I really loved that movie when I was younger. Got some stuff like that. Got my kids' names and everything. So basically, I just used to be in bands, and a lot of people I looked up to had tattoos, and I thought they were really cool. So yeah, like 12, 13 years ago, that's pretty much what it was. I knew people who were going to do stuff for me for free, and that's how I got them. Nothing super meaningful, I regret to say. Have you ever had any addictions, bro? And I don't mean fragrances. Sorry for asking such a personal question. Hey, no, dude, that's totally fine. As a matter of fact, that kind of brings me to the next segment of this whole stream thing we're doing here. Like I said, this video is just me hanging out and shooting the breeze with you guys and us getting to know each other better and stuff. Because, again, I don't expect many views on this, and that's cool. That's not why we're doing this. We're just here to talk, because I believe that if you can connect with even one person, that should be meaningful. So for me personally, yeah, a lot of people who come through have heard me talk about this. So sorry if you've heard this before and I'm repeating myself. But on May 4th, my birthday this year, I celebrated 7 years of sobriety. I was very much into doing substances I don't want to say their names or whatever, because you can just guess, but I'm not going to say their names because, again, I don't know if that's okay to do on YouTube. I'm not sure, but just hard drugs, nothing like that you injecting yourself, but I did hard drugs and basically drank regularly. And when I say drink, I drank a lot, and it was very embarrassing that I was able to drink this much and be functional. But I definitely inherited an addictive personality from my family. And that's pretty much what happened. Is I basically, bro, I just saw that your video about pocket empty and stuff. I liked it. Really appreciate your dedication. Thank you, Roger. I appreciate that. But yeah, Mikey, basically that's what happened. Is from the time up until I was about 15 or so. I guess for the person who asked me earlier, how long have I been a Christian? And then what got me into studying religions and things along those lines. I guess I could just rewind it back as a quick summary, even though there's a lot of details, and you're free to ask or tell me your stories as well. Real quick, if anybody pops through and just wants to debate, that's not what we're here for. I'm not going to do that. If you want to troll or something, I'll just block you out the chat because it's not that kind of day. But anybody's welcome to tell me their stories, no matter who you are or what you believe. But for me, up until the time, because of what I saw with my uncles and people in my family who struggle with addiction, until I was about 15 and a half, I was actually the dude who was a super little emo kid dork, like a little scene kid dork everybody made fun of, because I was very against going to parties. And even if I did go with friends to parties, I was very against substances, alcohol, all that stuff. I didn't like seeing what it did to other people. And then some stuff happened that I guess I can't actually talk about because it's really not appropriate for YouTube, I guess. But some personal things happened to me and in my life, and I ended up kind of feeling really broken. And to also give you a quick summary, I had a very violent childhood. So mixing that together, I ended up, like a lot of people do, going to parties and ended up drinking. Some people ended up convincing me to try other stuff as well. And long story short, that turned into almost 12 years of me drinking on a regular basis, doing stuff whenever I can. And pretty much that's how that happened. That's just a very poor but quick summary of there was a very long time of me doing a lot of bad things and being involved around a bunch of bad people. My tattoos, by the way, do not reflect that. I've never been to prison. I went to jail one time And it was for 7 days to finish off probation for getting caught, like when I was underage, like drinking and stuff like that. So I've never been to prison or anything like that. So I just want to make that clear, is that for people who are out there like, oh, people with tattoos, blah, 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 definitely encourage people to think before you get tattoos. But me, myself, like, it has nothing to do with going to jail or anything. But yeah, I was addicted to stuff. And to give you an idea, this is nothing to be proud of at all, but I was like, on a regular basis throughout the week, I was drinking a whole like fifth. On occasions, I even managed to I don't know how I survived, but work my way through whole half gallons of like vodka or whiskey, very cheap crap too, like Aristocrat, if you've ever heard that kind of stuff before. Struggling I'm sorry you're going through a fever, buddy. I hope you start feeling better. But yeah, long story short, there's a handful of times that I, by my own choice or by other things happening around me, like getting shot at and stuff, almost passed away. I tried to do it myself a few times during extremely broken points in life. And so I always encourage people, if you're like seriously suffering, please, I can assure you, please, you definitely need to reach out to people around you. I would say that a lot of reasons why stuff like that is skyrocketing these days is definitely because we live in a culture where, thanks to social media, people are connected more than ever, but don't really communicate. That's why I want to do these things with you guys. I'm just some stranger that you don't really know just yet. We're trying to get to know each other. That's why I do these live streams, is so that, I don't know what you guys are going through, but maybe we get the opportunity to hang out and talk a little bit whenever I got the free time and stuff. And you never know. It can make a difference, because for me, I can definitely say, if people feel like they don't really have folks who understand them, which we need as humans, then it can lead to you feeling very alone. And even people, I've personally lost a lot of people in my life, and I've known people myself who had a lot of friends. They were like constantly going to music shows and surrounded by hundreds of people, but they ended up, leaving this earth by their own accord, because they just felt very lonely, like nobody was really there for them. So having a lot of people around doesn't mean you've got real friends. Opening up and feeling like you can open up with people, and actually like having other people like show you they genuinely care about you as a person, that's what makes a difference. So long story short, just to finish this off, about 8 years ago, I tried to leave this earth one more time. And then the way that it happened, and by all accounts, I definitely shouldn't be here, but I managed to still be alive. And that in and of itself was a blessing, but do not want to discredit or take away from the people who did unfortunately successfully leave this earth. But basically, yeah, and Yuvraj, I will answer your question in just a second. And again, anybody who comes through here, please, I know you might be listening to my little story here, but please feel free to tell me things about yourself. Feel free to ask me things if you'd like to know anything. I'm more than happy to talk to you guys and answer your questions. But yeah, basically, long story short, I woke up that day, and that same day I said, you know what, fine, all right, trying to leave this earth didn't work. Being an addict for all these years hasn't been working. And I realized that only you with your free will can make the actual choice to pivot and go in a different direction. So basically, I went ahead and just stopped it all at once. That's why I feel bad when people ask me, how do you get sober? When I tell people it's been 7 years for me, I feel bad, because the only answer I can give you is I just quit. And that's not a good enough answer. If you are an addict, it's not that easy to just stop. But that's pretty much what happened. Thank you. I really appreciate that, Mick. I really appreciate that. And Mikey, thanks for sharing. I'm kind of going through the same stuff. I need to speak to family or professional. Well, Mikey, I really want to encourage you something. Again, I'm not personally professional, and I mean absolutely no disrespect, brother. But to you, if you are struggling with addiction for sure, and mental health as well, definitely, I'll say this, I'm really hard against like full throttle therapists, because the truth is there's people who get paid an awful lot of money because they went to school. And going to doctors in general about mental health is very risky these days, because medication can be useful in certain circumstances. And I'm not anti-medicine when it's needed, but I will say this, personal experience through my years of addiction is that, and watching a lot of people through the programs that I was a part of, like helping people and stuff in the past, I can assure you that there's an unfortunate amount of doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists, and so forth who are sponsored and paid, unfortunately, by medication companies. And they end up mostly, instead, they hear you talk about things, but they don't really give you the facts. And the facts is this: you need solutions, right? And solutions, by that I mean choices. So if you say you are struggling with something and going through things mentally or with like substances and stuff, the issue isn't going to be solved by putting you on a pill that makes you space out. So if you got ADHD or certain other things, like you really need help focusing and stuff, I get that. But I'm just making this point that, like, if you personally struggle, there are too many doctors and physicians out there where people go seeking help for things they're struggling with, like a substance abuse and mental health and stuff like that. But when you go, they end up not really telling you, hey, now that you've told me these things that you're going through, here's some constructive stuff we can kind of do to help you. Some doctors are really genuine and they do care. But I've personally experienced and met a lot of friends and people through those, like I said, those things I used to help with counseling and stuff. I've personally experienced a lot of people just go seeking help and they end up having some turd with a degree sitting across from them who has no real life experiences in these subjects say, okay, I hear what you're going through. Now take this medication that kind of nullifies and numbs your brain for a while, instead of, well, let's talk about some constructive stuff. And I need you to know ahead of time, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be painful. It's not going to be easy for you to work through your issues. But just as long as you know that, just know that there is a light, multiple lights at the end of those tunnels. Keep pushing. That's the best thing I can say. I'm sorry if it's a little all over the place, but like I said, I care about y'all. And to my buddy here who's definitely going through addiction right now, I just want you to know, talk to your family, talk to people around you. If it seems like, or if it feels like you are a burden to people, you're not. I mean, some people maybe are too, a lot of people these days are very selfish and not willing to listen. But at the end of the day, there are people who care about you, and you have got to speak out, because that is why we suffer so much these days, is we don't focus on community. And for me, that's why as well, having beliefs and having spiritual communities as well. And I'm not saying that the beliefs themselves are not real, but I'm saying that even in and of itself, having spiritual communities to be a part of, not just any of them, but ones where people are genuinely there for the reasons of being there, a part of one another and serving one another, is very crucial and has been for humanity for so long, because it's just a big part of coming together and believing that there's more important things than just what's for me and being selfish. And so, like I said, that's why I tried to start this channel in the first place. Is like, I'd be lying to you if I said, as a, like I'm doing fragrances and stuff, right? I'd be a liar and be dishonest if I said that, you know, I don't have hopes that this channel really grows and grows and grows. I'd be lying if I said that it wouldn't make me happy if I woke up tomorrow and I had like 1 million views on a video all of a sudden and had 1 million new subscribers or some crap like that. And like YouTube's like, here's $20,000. That would make me very happy, obviously. But it'd be really cool if I could do this full time. That'd be neat. But in and of itself, my big thing I realized a long time ago is I just want to have a community where I get to talk with you guys, you get to talk with me, and we just kind of together and we hang out. And if nothing else, there's a cool place for some of you guys and for me to come to once in a while. And we just get to be buddies. And, you know, anything that comes back to support me, it's like a nice gift. Because not to be like evangelizing you guys or nothing, but just throwing this out there, no matter who you are, what you believe. For me personally, one thing that I learned from my years of scriptural studies and religious history studies and in my own personal beliefs is that we were specifically not just created like in your own mind. A lot of times in today's world, social media and so forth encourages this like main character mentality. Like Gustavo, I'm doing really great, buddy. Thank you for being here. And Muhammad and all you guys, like, thank you so much for being here. I'm sorry if like anybody's getting bored or don't want to stick around, but to the people who are like listening and who want to communicate, please feel free to share your thoughts. And what have you. But as I was saying real quick, my beliefs is that like a lot of people these days are more encouraged to be selfish and to just protect yourself by the concept of running away when things get hard from pretty much anything, like relationships, whatever. Not that everything is something you need to stay in or torture yourself, but you got to realize that to grow in life, you have to go through pain. And that's how it's always been in the human nature. But that you do grow if you work through the struggles, and only through going through struggles do you really get to know who you actually are. And that's meaningful. So to me, this idea, what I like to think of is, I've heard it called the main character syndrome, where we all start to see ourselves as like we're the main character and everybody else is background actors because you only see the world through your personal lens. But that's a lie. The issue is, you're not the main character in anywhere. Like even in your own personal life, you are the active role of your own life, but the only way this world works is if people work together as a community. So again, I'm a Christian, right? And even though, again, I would sit here and tell you that when I say I'm a Christian, to you, that might mean a lot of things. You might immediately think like, oh, does that mean you don't like gay people? You think gay people deserve to suffer in hell? You might think that, okay, you're a Muslim, so I think you personally are like a heretic or something. Like you might think a lot of different junk if I say that I'm a Christian, because that word, just like saying you're a Muslim. Unfortunately, again, as somebody who read the Quran, because I love learning about religious histories, I read the Quran multiple times. I didn't do that to debate with people. I did it to understand. Just like with my own beliefs, a lot of Christians like to argue that people cherry pick scriptures out so that they can like oh, you're bashing me, you're making fun of the Bible by cherry picking stuff. But Christians do that same thing to Muslims all the time. They do that same thing to Hindus all the time. They take out little pieces and then say, oh, see, look at this crap, let me make fun of this, instead of, well, do you even know, you always bring up context, do you even know what the context of this stuff is whatsoever? That stuff is important. But when I learn about different belief systems and stuff along those lines, it's the understanding that we are sharing this earth, and whether or not I might think that your personal worldview might be misconstrued, or maybe perhaps I see that there's a way, or I believe that there's a better way to understand the nature of reality, the nature of the supernatural and so forth. At the same time, I don't like that people stereotype and then attack one another's beliefs just for the sake of feeling superior, which all throughout history beliefs have done. So again, as someone who's been a long time studying scriptural studies and church history and then religious histories of the ancient Near East and also Eurasia, it's important to me to realize there's a whole world of folks out there, and we won't actually ever get anywhere in this world if we don't work together as communities. That doesn't mean we agree with each other. It doesn't mean that we got to be on the same page with everything. It does mean, on the other hand, that we have to be cordial, because society doesn't mean homogenous. If you don't know what that means, homogenous means that a society where it can be a homogenous society where basically everybody is kind of like culturally pushed to be the same thing. And that happens all around the world. Culturally pushed to have the same mentalities, ideals, and all that stuff. But that's not really the way things work. We live in a culturally diverse world. So the only way, I'm sorry again, if all this babbling and ranting is boring the crap out of you guys, like, I guess I'm not really sorry for it, because it's just how I like to be and talk and hang out with y'all. But I'm sorry if anybody, technically speaking, is coming through and is like, I'd rather talk about something else. Please, by all means, if you want to, while I'm doing this, I'm going to keep going for a while. If you want to talk about fragrances, you're more than welcome to ask me about fragrances. If you want to talk to me just about anything in life in general, please feel free to do so. I don't mind whatsoever. I just am letting it be known that I just wanted to hang out with y'all because I got a lot going on today in general, and it makes me feel good to talk while my wife's at work and stuff, and we just can't hang out. But we are together. We are a family, and we're all a part of this. And thank you, Yuvraj, for carrying and stuff. And Gustavo, I will throw this out there. So if you're like literally getting sober, like working on it for real, then congratulations. And if you're just cracking jokes because like it's been 12 hours since you drank or whatever, hey, also no offense to you. Like, I don't have a problem with people drinking or nothing. I do have a problem with people doing hard drugs, because no matter what, even drinking is not good for your body. But I will say that, I don't have a problem with somebody like casually has beers or some whiskey or something like that. So even though I'm sober, I'm not bashing anybody for having beliefs. And bro, drink water. Gotta get that water. You said a lot. Now drink some water. I definitely will drink a lot more water, but I've already had like 3 bottles this morning. But like I said, that's why I unfortunately always have to use the bathroom. Gustavo, what am I doing today? So for now, here is actually almost time for the place that I'm going to finally open up. So I'm going to go in there and do some studies for a while, just to show you guys. Like I said, since there's no reason I shouldn't do this, if I can actually reach, sorry, y'all. Let me see if I can pull this stuff out, just to show you guys what I kind of do. What kind of music do you like? And how are you doing today, Douglas? Unlocking Paradoxes. That's a really cool name. I'm doing very good today. How are you doing, Unlocking Paradoxes? Again, by the way, we're just talking about life and just whatever right now, but you guys are more than welcome to ask questions about fragrances or whatever you'd like to, and I can put a pin in the subjects to get back to it. What kind of music do I like? For the most part, I like a lot of different stuff. Obviously, people's generic answer is anything and everything, but like between country, like classic, and some modern country, I like listening to that. I really like 90s, 80s pop music, and certain things like 80s new wave, like anything from the Smiths to, I don't know, like Huey Lewis and stuff like that as well. I really like listening to all different kinds of stuff from like jazz, like Emmett Cohen's a really nice jazz pianist these days. Bro, in India, you can find B. What's that? But yeah, basically, I like a lot of different stuff. I really love stuff like Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, like that 90s grunge type of feel. Some of my absolute favorite things to listen to a lot. And then classic rock, because it makes me think about my dad. But I listen to newer stuff. I listen to like metalcore and things along those lines, but it's not really my favorite thing anymore. If you guys want to check out a really awesome kind of indie-ish with like an 80s feel artist, check out Gus Dapperton, Gus and then Dapperton. If you want to check out something like that, pretty fun. You can find perfumes for under $1. Heck yeah, that's awesome. Unlocking Paradoxes. You are, by the way, Mick Martins, what kind of music do you like, guys? But Unlocking Paradoxes, doing some gardening. That's awesome. It brings me a lot of joy. I'm glad you're doing gardening and stuff like that. But yeah, just to show you real quick. So What I do when I go in here is It's So Cold by Crossfade. Heck yeah, the greatest. I loved Crossfade when I was young. The album that Cold was on was one of my absolute favorites. Starless on that album was one of my favorites. And there's another song that I can't remember what it was called, but it was like Into Pieces or something like that. I don't know, but Crossfade was definitely fantastic. We'll check him out. Gus Dapperton, Dapperton. So if you like something along those lines, it's really fun music to check out and jam to. He's got a lot of really interesting songs, and I like that kind of stuff. Also, there's two Spanish artists. I can't remember where they're from. I don't remember if it's Brazil, Portugal. I'm sorry. Like they're from one of the places in South America or Central America, and they're like some of my favorite Spanish artists right now. A little different, a little out there, a little wacky, but they're Paco Amarosa y Catrillo, or I think it's backward, Catrillo y Paco Amarosa. Either way, they're really fun. They did a Tiny Desk thing, and I kind of enjoy their kind of stuff too. Mick Martins. Heck yeah, Crossfade's an awesome group. They were very fun to listen to back in the day. My favorite songs are Last Christmas, Careless Whisper, Everybody Wants to Rule the World. So see, like I said, I love 80s music. So Tears for Fears is one of my favorite bands of all time. They are fantastic. Listen to The Working Hour. The Working Hour by Tears for Fears is one of my favorite songs that's ever been made in history. And again, like the Smiths is one of my favorite bands. I know a lot of people like to say like, screw Morrissey or whatever, his opinions, but I love me some Smiths. Go back and listen to it. It gets the blood pumping. Yes, it does. Listen to Crossfade. I hate that, like, not to sound like a, what are they called? An elitist. Not to sound like an elitist, which I guess I will, but what's their names? Deftones became really re-popular recently, and I do enjoy listening to some older Deftones and stuff like that, and some of their stuff from the Koi no Kai or whatever it was album. I don't know, some stuff. You Are Handsome. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. Bro, are you talking about I'm in a double-decker bus? Are you taking a... no. So I know. So what I'm saying is The Working Hour by Tears for Fears, the people who did Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Go check that out. But thank you, Henrique, for saying that. I appreciate it. Believe it or not, other than from my wife, well, she tells me I'm handsome all the time, and I really appreciate that. But I will say, especially since I've gained some weight, I don't feel that way most of the time. I love 80s and 90s. I definitely have a broad range through everything from Yellow Wolf to Bob Marley. That's awesome, Mick. I'm not a big Yellow Wolf fan, but that's just because he specifically reminds me of like part of my bad years or whatever, and I kind of leave that stuff behind. Do I have a song suggestion? I would say, if you're talking about like Gus Dapperton, who I mentioned earlier, I would say My Favorite Fish, or Bluebird, I think is what it is. Or Palms. Something along those lines would be a really good one. Pretty much anything, though, that you want to choose. World-Class Cinema. World-Class Cinema is a really good song to listen to. Bro, the most traumatic movie I saw is 500 Days of Summer. I don't think I've seen 500 Days of Summer, to be honest with you. I have to go check that out if I get the chance to do so. By the way, again, movies. We saw last night, we saw the new live-action Lilo and Stitch movie. I just want to say to people who are not looking for that type of thing, if you don't want it to be just like the actual, like a complete recopy of the original, but just live action with some minor changes, you're not going to like it if you don't want to do that. But we saw it. Just throwing this out there. We really loved it. We see movies a lot. I've got this here where we're from in North Carolina. I don't know if it's like this everywhere, but AMC Theaters has this thing you can pay $20 a month and you get 4 free movies a week. So we do that all the time. We cracked jokes in the past about, on top of me doing these fragrance reviews and stuff, me and my wife cracked jokes about we should just do a movie review channel. And I was like, yeah, but everybody's already pretty much doing it anyway. But we literally see like 3 to 4 movies every week. Anything new that comes out. Even if it's not like Harold and the Purple Crayon was one of our absolute. I like kids movies. I just do. So, but Lilo and Stitch last night was super fun. I ain't gonna pretend I didn't cry. Hey, I just saw Mission Impossible 8 on my TV. I actually have not seen any Mission Impossible movies, to be honest with you. But I know. Well, we tried to watch the first one, but after about an hour in, I was like, "What's happening here? I don't really get this." I love Pets movie. Yes. First of all, Diddy, fun name. The Pets movies. You talking about Secret Life of Pets? Is that what you're talking about? But bro, I recommend the song You Can Fayakum. I had to check that out. But no, yeah, we definitely seen a lot of good ones this past year. I will say we saw Sinners. That was a pretty fun movie. Yeah, Secret Life of Pets was definitely a fun movie. I think we saw the second one too, and that was also interesting. We saw Migration. The Never Let Go movie was really awesome, but Harold and the Purple Crayon was really cool. Guys, go ahead and laugh if you want to. I don't care. We love the kids' movies. Trolls. I got kids. Even my teenage son still likes to go with us, and like the new Trolls movie was awesome too. I haven't seen Mission Impossible as well, but I've seen like Mission Impossible advertising. Oh yeah, no, like the first movie just seemed so doofy to us, so I ended up just not really getting into it because it wasn't really like, to me, for some reason, just cohesive or whatever. But I'm sure they're good. Have you heard of Kalishi? Discovered his music after I quit drinking. Very inspiring. I have not, but I definitely have to check that. You're funny, Yuvraj. I love the bunny in part two. Oh yeah, the bunny's funny. Definitely cool. But excuse me. There's a lot of really good ones. There's a I don't know if I've never seen Zootopia, but we did find out last night that Zootopia 2's coming out. Although it was one of the dumbest advertisements I've ever seen. It didn't show you anything at all about the story. It was literally like three chipmunks bouncing on a keyboard, some techno music starts, and then it shows a bunch of little random things of like the characters just dancing the music. And I was like, well, somebody who's never seen Zootopia 1, I now have no idea what this means at all. So should I see this? Should I not? One of the goofiest movies we saw this year, but actually ended up being kind of neat-ish, but I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, was, I don't know if you guys saw that Pharrell, the musician Pharrell, came out with his own movie, the Lego Pharrell movie. I don't remember what it was called, but we did watch it, and it was all right. But I was like, this man really made like a 2-hour movie in Lego stuff, telling his life story to constantly have people talk about how unique he was. So he had a movie made about himself, and multiple times also trying to paint himself as a humble person while having people after people after people talk about how unique he was. I was like, hey, look, I'm not going to take credit away from him. The dude contributed to loads of massive pop hits, but Moana 1 is good. Moana 1 is awesome. So we saw Moana 2. Bruh, banger, I saw Jurassic Park and Godzilla 2. We did not see, so I know there's a new Jurassic World coming out, I believe. And then as well, this past year, I have a good friend of mine who used to work with us. He actually recently, unfortunately, got let go from the job. But we used to crack jokes because every time we would go to theaters with him or see anything, or a new video game would come out or whatever, he always he just said it sucked. No matter what, this man could not be pleased. I'm not going to say his name, but if he ever comes across my stuff, he'll know I'm talking about him. But nothing ever brought him joy. And we went to see King Kong, the one movie that I was like, hey, let's go see this. We went and saw King Kong and Godzilla, like the newest one or whatever. And oh my goodness, I could just see the look on his face. Like he was like, why did I let you guys talk me into coming here? And when it was over, we were all like, hey, that was kind of fun, huh? It was stupid, but it was kind of fun. And he was like, I hated it. I hated it. And then he just left. And I was like, yeah, we got to bring him to more of this kind of stuff. I wanted to see the Godzilla movie, though, when it was in theaters from this past year that was in Japan. But we didn't get to see. I can't remember what it was called. But Moana 1 was awesome. Off to the gym. Muhammad, have an awesome day, buddy, and I hope you have a good time at the gym. I really appreciate you. God bless you, buddy. Theo Von and David Spade are supposed to have a movie coming out. They do. So I didn't know. I couldn't remember if it was a TV show or if it was a movie. But they are working on something right now. And a handful of other popular, like famous comedian actors-ish are going to be in there. I will say this, though. This is completely off topic. Taking the kids to see Lilo and Stitch. Please do. It was very, very fun last night. We loved it. God bless you, Muhammad. I hope you have a great day. But yeah, no, Moana 2 was fun. But I will say this. I don't know if you guys ever liked Saturday Night Live. So I like David Spade. I loved Black Sheep. I loved Tommy Boy, him and Chris Farley. And Chris Farley was still with us. But just throwing this out there, I actually don't like Saturday Night Live. I cannot get into it. It's something about it just never lands for me. None of the humor is almost ever funny to me. Like we saw the Saturday Night Live movie that came out this past year, and it really was like, wow, this was fun. I like this. I love comedy. I love sketch comedy. So maybe I'll go back and give it a shot. We started from season 1. We skipped some seasons, and some of my favorite comedic actors and some of my favorite actors in general have featured on this show. But no matter what I try to do, Saturday Night Live just means like it just doesn't work for me. And my wife was the same. We have completely different kind of humors for the most part. And we both were just sitting there like, what is happening right now? Like I get that they're doing live skits and trying stuff in real time, but people will act like it's the funniest thing in the world. And somehow like my humor is all over the range, but that show just doesn't work for me. Favorite director is Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan is actually a really good director. I will say that. We saw this movie this past year that I was like, what is this crap? I was so excited for it because I thought it was going to be really, really good. But have you guys heard of Megalocalypse? I think, wait, no, not Megalocalypse. What am I saying? Wait, Metropolis? No, not Metropolis. There was a movie. I think it was Megalopolis or something like that. But Adam Driver and Shia LaBeouf was in it. We saw that movie, and I need to make this explicitly clear. If you haven't seen it, please don't ever waste your time. I like artsy stuff sometimes. That movie was terrible. It was a very bad experience. Unlocking boxes. Sorry, I didn't see your message. I guess you retracted your message, but I'm sorry about that. But real quick, just throwing this out there. Yeah, somebody asked earlier, and I never got back around to telling you what it is I'm about to do. When I was a teenager, I used to listen to Marshmello. I actually have never really listened to a lot of Marshmello myself. It's not had its moments with Chevy Chase and Belushi, but it is overrated. I love Chevy Chase. You are very kind and respectful. I appreciate you. I'm glad I stumbled across your live stream today. You just gained a subscriber. Thank you, Unlocking Paradoxes. Like I say, my main content might not be for everybody. Like, I try to just have a little something we can all have a nice community going on here, because my main thing is fragrance reviews, and that's what helps me the best. Sorry, retracted. Hey, nothing wrong with that. But my main thing is doing reviews of fragrances, and a lot of times when I do those live streams, that's kind of what it's generally based around. But I also just like talking with people because I kind of had a decision last night. I was doing a lot of praying and talking with my wife just about life as a whole. Because again, for any of you guys who don't know, my grandma is currently in hospice. And it's been a really frustrating process because I've lost a lot of people over these years, over the past decade. I've had a lot of people come and go for different reasons, substances, what have you, bad decisions in life, and just natural bad situations coming to be. But in general, this grandma situation has been really hard for me because as much as I've been exposed to death in my life, I've never had a elongated death. I've never seen and been around somebody slowly passing like this, and then watching it affect people that I love. So because she has a bowel blockage, my grandma hasn't eaten now in 14 days. And for her age, you would think there's no way that she's still going to be here after 14 days of not eating, and she's 83 years old. And it's one of those rare situations where you really pray that she, for whatever reason, she's still with us, that you hope that she can just go on, because it's worse for her to just not be herself and be present and all that stuff. So it's been a really odd situation. And that's why, like I said, I usually only would stream on Wednesdays and Sundays, but I've had a lot more time to stream and hang out with you guys. But my mind's been very heavy, more than usual, because my aunt and my dad have been going through a lot in different levels. And I'm one of those people in my family where I kind of got to be there for them a lot. And so I love them, but it's hard. It's definitely a tough situation. Marco, thank you for being here, buddy. I appreciate you guys. Is processing it differently. Absolutely. Thank you, Unlocking Paradoxes. I'm sorry about you having to go through something with your grandmother as well. Definitely. My grandma's got the dementia. And thank you, Diddy, as well. I really appreciate you, Yuvraj. I appreciate you guys so much. And I will talk about what these are in just a second. But basically, yeah, it's just been really tough because I'm like, every morning I'm like, please let this be the day. I'm tired of like another day where I know, because my grandma just keeps deteriorating more and more by the day, but she's not gone yet. She's in a lot of pain, but they got her on a lot of medication. And so it's been really hard because my aunt and them just going crazy and like falling apart, just watching their mom die slowly instead of that quick impact of it being over with. So, yeah, like I said, it's just unusual for me because I've had so many people that were very close to me, and even like my other aunt on my mom's side, who was like another mom to me, like she passed away. But like I said, it was she was sick for a long time, so it was such a sudden thing that when it did happen, that it hurt a lot, but it was also easy to understand and process. So like I said, it's been crappy, but at the same time, having all these extra days off of work and stuff, trying to like process as well. And then, because a lot of times I've been going to see my aunt, spend time with my family, but I've been doing these live streams when I get the chance in the mornings before I do my studies and stuff. So I don't understand why these things happen, but we just keep moving, man. That's all we can do. And like I said, it's been really nice to build this community with you guys, though. It's meant the world to me. But like I said, last night and during some prayer and stuff and some discussion with my wife, I realized, what do I want to do going forward in the future? And so again, this is just a little bit like talking about me. So anybody who's watching can get to know me a little bit more if you give a hoot, because that's what I want to do, is get close with y'all and really come to know each other if we can. But for a while there, when my channel just started kind of erupting and I started getting what seemed to be like a lot of subscribers and stuff on my earlier videos, I was getting really excited because I was like, wow, you know, I'm passionate about perfumery and fragrances. I love to connect with people. I've always been making videos on my other channels and stuff. So it'd be really neat if this could become like a real career, like I've always dreamed for. Like I said, I've been filming and making videos since I was about 7 years old, 6 or 7. Me and my dad, very first with his video camera, he started teaching me stuff. And I've always been making home videos and movies just for fun because I like capturing those memories. But when this started taking off, and like I got over 100,000 subscribers in like 8 months, like the channel just started going through these peaks. But unfortunately, the truth is, I don't even care about most of those subscribers except for y'all, because I don't know if they're even like really legitimate people at this point. Like my channel started booming and getting people, but they weren't really watching my videos no more anyways. So it might have just been a bunch of bots or something. Who knows? YouTube validated the subscribers were real accounts, and they sent me a valid silver play button. But for the most part, like I said, I realized like I was getting way too excited, buying way too many fragrances and stuff. And it was starting to go to my head a little. I was getting too excited talking about it to people in almost like a braggy kind of way. So I just realized after a while, you know what? That's not what this is all about for me. So I don't know if I'm going to actually keep chasing this type of thing to see if it can become a career. So more or less, I kind of realized I don't really care anymore about, I'm going to keep doing my fragrance reviews, and I'm going to keep doing these live streams and hanging out with you guys and answering people's questions and stuff. But I realized last night that this is no longer going to be about me just trying to see if I can really grow this thing and make it like a big success thing. I'm just going to be myself. And if it happens and great, because that's what I always wanted anyway. If I actually develop like a real channel of consistent people with me and supporting what I do, I'd rather it be because I get to be myself and I don't have to be a fake salesman. And you're right. Yes. Thank you guys for your love, by the way. Thank you guys for your love and your support for what's going on with my grandma and just in general, just hanging out with me and stuff. Because like I said, while my wife's at work and I got these days off during the grieving process, it's meant the world to me to actually get to chill with y'all and talk. And Marco, you're absolutely right, brother. So that's what I realized last night is like for a while now, you know, I've tried to take it back to making it about the passion, but I really do just truly only want to have like a channel that's based around me getting to be me, and instead of trying to be this fake salesperson and pushing crap on people that doesn't really matter. I hate that junk. I really do. I know that might sound like I think I'm better than other people, and I'm sorry if it comes off that way. I'm just in my humblest way possible. I don't like people, you know, telling people that crap is awesome so that you'll buy it. It's a waste of time. So in that sense, I just want to be just more even myself. And if you know, I've been losing subscribers daily, just being real. I've been gaining them while doing these live streams, but I also keep seeing them go in the negatives and stuff. So hopefully it's just a bunch of bot accounts and fake accounts or something. But at this point, the most meaningful thing to me about this channel has been talking with y'all and hanging out. So that's kind of the only reason I'm gonna keep doing it, basically going forwards. I'm gonna keep doing my reviews, keep doing my streams and answering people's fragrance questions and stuff, but I'm gonna be a lot more just myself, even more so, and talk about what I want to, and talk about life, talk about my beliefs and all that. So I imagine success that comes when you stop trying so hard. That's what I think too, you know, because like if you think about this, and thank you, Marco, for saying, I really appreciate it so much. If you really think about it, in the grand scheme of things, like just like becoming a TikToker or some crap, like I overheard a dude yesterday, and I interrupted their conversation. I told him I was sorry, but I answered something for him, and he didn't believe me, but that was okay. But I overheard some people at Starbucks talking about how his brother's trying to become a TikToker, and he was like, yeah, man, like, you know, these TikTokers, most of the average TikTokers are making millions of dollars a month. And I was like, I'm sorry, excuse me. I was like, I personally have a YouTube channel, and I was like, I just want to let you know, like, that's not true. I don't know, you know, people believe that, and that's why they want to be a TikToker so bad. But first and foremost, YouTube pays exponentially higher than TikTok, and TikTok in and of itself also gives you way less, like, lower quality sponsorship opportunities just due to the advertisement circumstances. But even more so, most of what people do on TikTok is so vapid and won't last. So developing a real followership base or fan base because you're really being genuine, that lasts. It's like being a band. If you're a band who makes a bunch of music just to try to be popular, but your soul's not even in it at all, not even a little bit, it won't really work. Nobody's going to care because it's not something that's going to last very long. If you do stuff that's sustainable, like one of my favorite bands, AFI, if you guys see that, got the AFI's Sing the Sorrow tattoo. If you do stuff that's actually meaningful to you, you will be a band that even when you change over the years, people will still follow you forever because you are always yourself. So I'm an app designer, and I know you're paying. Marketing these days is hard. Even spending your money and stuff doesn't work. Absolutely, dude. I just got Trade Nuit in the mail Wednesday. Really like the scent. Reminds me of Cool Water, but performance is weak. Only $20. Yeah, Trade Nuit is actually not a bad fragrance, but it really, really wasn't for me. They reminded me of something else I smelled, but I can't remember what. There's another fragrance that I've got that's very similar to the Trade Nuit, but I ended up giving the bottle away because this is going to sound really strange, but when I smelled Trade Nuit, it made me feel like depressed. I don't know why, but something about the scent profile just felt sad to me. Very blue and very sad, but other people around me liked it. But no, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like I said, I get to rambling and babbling, but that's just how my channel works. I like to connect with you guys and be open, and that's how I talk in general. But yeah, that's what I'm saying is, like, for me, I just realized, you know what? It's not really worth it just to try to do things like, and I'm not competing with all these salesman personality types. I'm just going to have fun. With that being said, I did decide, on the other hand, I'm going to start just being a little bit more open, since it's not going to matter anyway. I'm going to start being a little bit more open about just talking about life and beliefs with you guys. So that way, if you do stick around, hey, at least we'll genuinely get to know each other a little bit better. And I love hearing you guys' thoughts and opinions and stuff. So we got to embody what we want in this life. Our physical world is just a reflection of our. You're absolutely right, brother. And it's most important, the best I can say to you, especially anybody out there, again, who's getting sucked. Look at that guy. Look at that random dude doing a cameo in the back of my video. But it's most important in this life, especially if you want, like, struggling with sobriety and all that other kind of stuff, that you just understand that it's going to be a journey and a struggle, and you yourself have to make the decision to say, today, I'm going. So here's one thing I want to put out there. And again, as a guy who believes in God, I'm not here to debate these kind of concepts and these theological concepts or philosophical concepts. I'm just going to tell you from my own personal experiences what I have perceived watching many people's journeys and my own. Thank you, by the way, Diddy. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the sub. But so I believe thoroughly that there is God who is in charge and overall managing and watching and has purposes for so many aspects of whatever God chooses to do with this earth, with this universe, and whatever. But literally, even in every scripture that you basically read, there is a coexistence of God being in control, while at the same time, God is like maintaining and can make decisions as God so chooses. But at the same time, we have complete freedom of decision of our own. We don't have to get anything deeper than that, in that concept of like, well, yeah, are we really free? You personally have the ability to make decisions. Even something like sobriety is one of those best examples of why, for me, free will is real. Because with somebody being on a substance addiction, if there was no free will, there would be no, like, substance addictions is something that rewrites your brain. Substance addiction is one of those things that literally messes with you chemically. And so by that of itself, if you didn't have the ability to overcome your body with your spirit, with your mind, then in of itself, there would be no such thing really in most cases for people to overcome the substance addiction in and of itself. I know that's a very poor straw man type of way of putting it, but in and of itself, you have free will, and so many people unfortunately don't realize and use their own will to overcome, but many people like me have. And I want the same thing for you guys. It's funny because I discovered you a few days ago watching your videos, enjoying the sobriety life discussions, helps with my sobriety. That's all that matters to me, dude. You're 7 years. So inspired. Thank you. That means the world to me. Like I said, you know, getting to talk with you guys, like, if there's stuff that you don't like about my discussions, that's fine. But if I can encourage even one person, that means the world to me, because that's all I ever wanted. And that's what was very thankful for me. But yeah, long story short. So when people talk about prayer and stuff being pointless, the issue is like people praying. So God has doors waiting to be opened for you. But you have to be an active participant in choosing to walk through those doors, is the best way I can put it. I know that almost sounds like, and is easy to take in the direction that, okay, so basically I'm completely in control about what happens. You are completely in control about what you decide to do. You are not in control about what happens in life, how life reacts to what you do, if that makes any sense. You are completely in control about how you act in a situation. You are also free to choose not to control yourself or your emotions or your behaviors in a situation. But what you can't control is how life or circumstances react to what you do. Kind of like you are in control of how you act at a job interview. You could do the best you can. And yet at the same time, you ultimately don't get to dictate. And there's no amount of hope and dreams in the world that can decide ultimately what that company or those people decide to do. If they already had a plan ahead of time, whatever. I've personally interviewed for jobs in the past where I was they literally told me I'm the most qualified person who's interviewed with my experience and all this other stuff, my capabilities. But then I find out later about another person who works on the inside of that company. They chose someone else because before I even came to interview, the people already picked somebody else, like a family member or who knows what, to take that role. But they just, by legalities, were doing interviews for the company's sake. So the idea is, I did the best interview I could do, and I still wasn't able to manipulate them into hiring me if they already had their own ideas. So I'm just using that as an example, maybe a bad example, who knows? But no, I'm not I've never did AA myself, actually. So again, like I said, my personal story is just my own. I know other people like me, but I just, after attempting to leave this earth at my own hands one last time 7 years ago, when I woke up that next day, I gave it all up. Drinking, smoking cigarettes, everything. I smoked 2 to 3 packs a day for 11 years, drank like crazy, did drugs. And then that one day when I woke up, I said, you know what? This whole consistently dying isn't working. I'm going to live now. And I stopped it all. And then, like I said, my whole journey of coming to faith happened within that next month. And then it's been 7 years now. But yeah, just to finish that concept is that you personally get to decide what happens with you and your decisions. So the reason I say God's got doors waiting to open for you, a lot of times people pray all the time, God, change these things for me. I have addictions. I have problems. I keep doing this. I keep doing that. God, please change it for me. The problem is it doesn't work that way. Even if you ever read the Bible or something like that, it doesn't work like that. God has doors waiting to be opened for you in the pro or the negative, based off of what's overall best for you or your journey, or even just for other journeys. Again, like I said, you're not the main character of the world. You're in your own life, but you're not the world's main character. So there might be times there's something you feel is for you, but actually you play a role for somebody else's mission at that point. But you're not going to be ready to walk through opportunities and doors, even if you think you deserve it, if you're personally not in the mind frame and the potentially maybe the wisdom, the capabilities. I don't know if you guys know what prudence means, but prudence is the concept of being able to use wisdom. So prudence basically is the idea, especially in Christianity and especially like in the early church history and stuff. Praying for prudence means don't just give me wisdom, God, but give me the understanding of how to use that knowledge, that skill, whatever. So kind of like if you are a king and you have power over a kingdom. Having power is this idea. Now, knowing how you should use that power is prudence. So if that gives you an idea. So it might be possible that you've got all the skills in the world for an opportunity you're hoping for or a circumstance, but it's not for you. So instead, learning how to have, yes, discernment, very similar to prudence. So basically, long story short, understanding how to use discernment and to recognize, is this for me, is extremely important. Is this where I belong? Is extreme, like if you only read about something, but you never have an actual experience with it. Pretty much just that. It's kind of like you can't just go to school. Maybe some people can, but for most people, you can't just go to university and then to medical school and only read about how to. That's kind of why a lot of academic programs fail a lot of students these days. Is there's a lot of kids going to universities for how to do something, but they don't get a lot of real world practice. So people who have real world practice end up having better opportunities than people who maybe have a formal education, but they themselves don't actually have the understanding or the capabilities how to apply that in the real world. So be doers of the word, not just hearers. Exactly my point. So as a Christian, for instance, I would tell in Christianese, like my buddy here just said, talking about be doers of the word and not just hearers, is an incredible amount, for instance, these days of people who perhaps go to church or something like that, depending, especially based on the denomination. They make, for instance, their beliefs very wrapped up in politics, as if, not that they don't have like some type of like effect on one another to some extent, but imagine if instead you set aside maybe trying to go after politics and made, for instance, if you were a Christian, made God first, made Jesus first, and then read and see how am I supposed to be towards people, and not politically, instead of making enemies of people I disagree with, but perhaps instead, how can I be good to others? How can I help those, for instance, people who are impoverished, people who are sick and in need and hungry? Maybe there's a neighbor that I disagree with, but I can see they're struggling right now. Should I sit here and silently judge them and hope the worst for them? Or should I go across the street and see if there's anything I can do to help? If we lived in a world full of people who wanted to help other people, then we would live in a world where people were also constantly being helped. So the kind of idea basically that's taught specifically is that instead of seeking anxiously constantly, like grabbing at straws to gain for yourself, instead, you will discover that, and actually the way things were set up is that if you do for others, yes, of course, people will take advantage of you at times and you will learn how to evade or leave those situations. But if you do for others, if you are kind and respectful, like my buddy here, if you do for others and you try to live a life of service the best you can for others, in return, you will actually receive back. That's the best way I can put it to you. To the best of your ability, and being respectful to yourself and others, if you live a life where you try to do for others as much as you can, not overextending yourself, you're not asked to do that. But if you try to do for others the best you can, you will see that things come back for you. So you don't have to be selfish. You don't have to be overly me. You will actually get in return exactly all the satisfaction and peace you need by just trying to be good to others the best that you can. So that doesn't mean agreeing with everything or all that stuff. But like I said, I know I lose a lot of you guys when I talk about this kind of stuff and really get deep into this, but it means the world to me in my personal experiences these years, and how many people I've seen suffer just because they didn't feel like they had anyone there, or people to like be straight with them and show them that there's so much more meaning and purpose to life than just what we think a lot, and the hopelessness that we end up feeling. But with that being said, yeah, so why I come here, just to answer a question from an hour and a half ago, why I come and do these things when I get these free times is I come study. I got my scholarly level Bible studies here with me that a friend of mine gifted me from his seminary years, and his also he went to secular university for scholarship studies as well. So I got some pretty good information here, and really unfortunately, as a slow reader that I am, really fat books that I've got to go through, that I've been working through trying to learn as much stuff as I can for the reasons of application. But like you said, it doesn't really matter how much stuff you learn if you don't put it into action. And that's why, like I said, even if I lose a lot of subscribers or people don't care anymore, either way, I decided on top of doing my fragrance stuff, whenever I get a chance like this, I'm going to hang out with you guys and just generally talk about life, about faith, God in general, and we can have any kind of discussions you want. No arguments, no like incordial debates or anything, just general, just being together, community discussions, all that stuff. And if you guys want to be a part of it, we're more than welcome to. And if you want to come back at different times and stuff, you're more than welcome to do that too. But I will say I'm going to go ahead and get in there now, because I've been here a lot longer than I thought I was going to be. But I'm going to do what I usually do and finish this out with a prayer for everybody who's watching. Again, no matter who you are, where you're from, or what you believe, nobody is not allowed to be part of this. I respect everyone. And we might disagree on beliefs, but I respect you if you have beliefs that don't involve harming other people. So with that being said, here we go. Father in heaven, thank you so much for this beautiful day that I've had to talk to these wonderful people. Everybody who's come through, we got to talk about sobriety and the beauty of community. Everybody, we got to talk about just the beauty of life as a whole, and the struggles and pain. And I cherish and appreciate, not that I don't want anyone going through struggles and pain, but I appreciate that we have the opportunities to overcome, that you don't just do everything for us. We have the opportunities, Lord, to just overcome things and to power through and to understand our places in this world. To learn through overcoming the purposes, the many, many purposes that you have for each individual life on this earth. That no matter who is here and how many of us there are, yes, we can choose to go down a million wrong paths, but at any moment we have the ability, thanks to your love, your grace, and mercy, like to go down the right path. Not to just one right path either. We have so many paths in our life to get to choose and to walk. And I'm just thankful for options, for opportunities, Lord. And like I said, all these people who come through, no matter who they are, no matter what they believe, God bless each and every one of them. I love them. I know you love them. I pray that they come to just have peace in their heart and true, like, sustainable joy, and that we're able to let go of all the things that are bad for us, the things that like have a hold over us. And to my buddy and brothers who stopped through here are struggling with sobriety, I pray for them, Lord, that they are able to understand that like they've got to make the decisions, and that they have the strength, that you watch over them. And I know you're with them, and I hope they understand that as well. And they have the strength to overcome the stuff they're struggling with. And just in general, to everybody who's watching, Lord, I pray just for your blessings in their life, and that they come to know you and understand you and see the fullness of the beauty in this universe, in this world, and know that if they're feeling hopeless, they've got meaning and purpose upon purpose, and they are not a failure. They are not broken, they're destroyed. They have the ability at any moment to just turn and go in the opposite direction. It's just a decision they got to make. So, Lord, I lift all these people up to you, and I thank you with all my heart for these opportunities in this time. In the name of Jesus, I thank you for your grace and mercy and love. Amen. Like I said, I appreciate y'all for stopping through so much. If you don't like prayer, if you don't like that kind of stuff, that's totally fine. Again, it's a fragrance channel, but it's much more than that. It's trying to be just a community and hang out with y'all and just have this love in this time. So it means the world to me so much. And real quick before I go, just any more questions? If not, totally fine. I got stuff I got to do. But like I said, just want to see real quick before I hop off here, if you got any more questions, if anybody wants to talk about one more thing. before I jump. And if not, I love y'all. Appreciate you so much. If anybody does who stopped through who doesn't necessarily care about fragrances, but you wouldn't mind checking some stuff out, watch some of my reviews and show some support. Sorry about that. I just realized that was gross. Adjusting my shorts. But if anybody would like to go check out my stuff and throw some support on the actual channel itself, you're more than free to do so while I hop off of here. I hope the audio was good during this whole time, but seriously, God bless you guys. No matter what your faith or lack of might be, you're all always welcome here. And if you see me live streaming, even if I am straight up at that moment talking about fragrance stuff, you're still able to bring up whatever you want, and I'll try to get to you as much as possible. So any more questions? I'll give it about a minute to see if anybody's got anything, or even if not questions, if there's anything anybody wants to say before I go, you're more than welcome to please feel free to do so. But again, thank you guys so much, and I appreciate y'all, every single one of y'all who stopped through today. It's also cool to always, let me see if I can figure out how, maybe next time I can, you know what, that's one thing I'll say, because it gives me the opportunity to add other people to the live stream, hangout chat. I hope this person knows they're not in an actual parking space. There's a person in front of me who just parked out in the middle of the street and got out of their car, and they're drinking a Go-Gurt. I didn't even know Go-Gurts were still sold. Oh, I'd film this person if it wasn't technically like not right to do. But anyway, yeah, with that being said, like I said, if anybody before I hop off here has got any more questions, if you want to talk about fragrances, life, whatever, please. Again, I'm Andrew Douglas Lane. This is the Douglas Moon Fragrance channel where I do some views and just talk about life. But thank you. God bless y'all so much. Oceans of love you guys this way. And as it stands, I will see you guys next time.